And what an incredible 3 days we've had together at CTE Forum 2022 as we have emerged from this pandemic. It's a great privilege for me to accept being called and appointed as General Secretary of Churches Together in England. I have to say that there's very little that could have pulled me away from the work I was engaged in supporting churches with their community engagement. But my lifelong commitment to ecumenism, the decision was an absolute no-brainer. I'm second generation Windrush. My parents came to the UK in the late 1950s. My professional background is actually as an urban planner, and particularly in the area of participation. And so participation really runs as a golden thread through my thinking and my values. I've spent now nearly 30 years in ministry, the first 10 serving in Keighley in West Yorkshire, and the last 20 really serving alongside churches with two faith-based organisations, Transforming Lives for Good, TLG, where I worked to set up alternative education provision for vulnerable children and young people excluded from school, and more recently with the Cinnamon Network in helping churches with their community engagement. Where are we right now? We have millions of people who are suffering from chronic isolation. Many in our communities have been shielding and are actually fearful of returning to face-to-face engagement with people. And that's why it is a joy to be together. We have a mental health crisis across our country with a disproportionate impact on children and young people. I'm a chair of governors of an alternative education school, and we are working through those issues with our young people. We have a cost of living crisis where some people's personal inflation rate is running above 10%. And the fact is, the poorer you are, the higher your personal inflation rate. Church volunteers who are tired, some even exhausted. Some have reassessed their capacity for volunteering moving forward. I do think it's a time to celebrate that we can come back together, but also I think it's a time to pause, a time to rest, particularly as we're in this period of Lent, and also to reflect. And I wonder during this time of Lent if we can ask ourselves 3 questions. What do we need as churches to stop doing? Because we can't do everything. What are we going to start doing? In the pause, let's listen to God and together move forward as one, at a local level, but also as churches together in England. And what should we consider sustainably continuing to do? Well, if we are going to continue to do things, let's make sure we do them together. Now more than ever, ecumenism is where it's at. We can achieve so much more together. At Churches Together in England, where are we going? Well, I believe we need to build a bigger table so that we hear the voices that we sometimes fail to listen to. I think we need to continue to enable the church to speak with one voice on the issues that matter to us all. And we want, as churches together, to respond practically and relevantly to the emerging needs that matter to society. And we can do it. We have proved it in this forum as we have risen to the challenge of holding government to account around welcoming refugees from Ukraine. But how are we going to get there? We've absolutely got to raise a new generation of ecumenists. And we heard some of those voices today. Too many rooms that we sit in are missing the voices of young people. These voices must be heard, and this will be a specific focus as we walk forward together. And we also need to make sure that the death of George Floyd is not just a moment of lament, but that we build a racial justice movement where churches together can be an agent enabling changes in attitudes, genuine allyship, and a willingness to robustly audit our churches and our organisations so they serve those suffering racial injustice in their everyday lived experience. At the centre of CTE, we need to strengthen our enabling group so it provides robust ecclesiastical leadership, the kind of leadership that CTE needs to steer us forward together. I'm calling on senior national church leaders today to engage and continue to engage with our enabling group. We will be strengthening this group of leaders. And we need to support our presidents and each presidency forum to be as strong as they can be so that the various voices in the various streams of the church are heard and equal value is given to each voice. On the ground, we need to evolve the structure and the makeup of local and intermediate ecumenism so that emerging Pentecostal, charismatic and Orthodox churches are able to take their place at the table alongside Anglican, Catholic and other free church groups. Let's make sure that the structures serve us and we don't serve the structures. And if structures create inertia, let's be willing and ready to work for change. On the ground, we need to build churches together, unity movements that also include locally independent churches and emerging migrant churches. Unity movements that engage the public square as one, that deepen a relational commitment between church and Christian leaders, that affirm the work of everyday Christians serving the Lord in the marketplace and deliver social action and engage social justice issues together. Let's maximise the opportunities of our brilliant bodies of associations, charities that have been here in our marketplace, committed to working in partnership with the local church and local churches around a host of issues. Finally, we've got to continue to dialogue on the difficult issues. We should all lament the pain caused by the empty chair of the fourth presidency over the issue of same-sex marriage and human sexuality over the last 4 years. And great pain has particularly been caused for churches and people advocating and working for a more inclusive church. I believe each national church within CTE generally must dig deep and seek to find the best version of itself so we can best serve God and the people he has called us to serve. We won't necessarily always agree, but when we do disagree, let's disagree well. Let's all do the deeper listening and genuinely learn from each other, so that because that's the nature of receptive ecumenism. In our brokenness, may each church and organisation continue to become a fitting vessel ready to serve a hurting and a broken world. And remember, the most important dialogue of all is to have a dialogue about the one who unites us. May our dialogue be enriched by the person of Jesus Christ. Together, may we know Christ better, and may we as his church leave this convocation committed to make him known to a broken world. Thank you for listening.